joining us now from a different sport. I don't know if he has any inside information on Tim or Cheryl. We will certainly try to get it from him. Senior NBA insider for ESPN, the handsome Charania. Ladies and gentlemen, that's AJ Hawk.
AJ.
Hawk, do we have...
Yeah, do we have Shams with Cheryl?
Oh, man. I'm like, damn, I look totally different today. Jesus, I look different than her.
Similar, though. Similar. The whole...
No, AJ's got the clean face. He's always clean. He always looks the same. The consistency is important.
Well, I think you are the exact same human, have been since we met you.
Yeah.
Literally same exact look. Even had the same background. Remember the spaceship background?
Triangle.
Now he's just big time on ESPN. Anyways, AJ, great to see you, brother. Shams, thank you for joining us. I heard via your shit, both an article and a tweet, that LeBron James has opted in to his player decision contract for $52 million. Congrats to him. That's a lot of money. Way to go. And then we also, I believe, continue to read on to this entire thing, that they're evaluating the Lakers, and they understand that there's not a few years left. Here's the exact quote. LeBron wants to compete for a championship. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeannie Buss, who now has sold the team, and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. We understand the difficulty in winning now while preparing for the future. We do want to evaluate what's best for LeBron at this stage in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand that and are supportive and want what's best for him. Okay, so there's a lot that's said there, but basically, after reading it, I found myself thinking, oh, he's doing the same thing as like what Giannis is doing. Is that an accurate depiction of what's going on with these two superstars? And how real is any of the conversation about Lakers and LeBron splitting potentially?
Similar situation in terms of like both players are evaluating, seeing what moves are made. Both players want to compete for a championship, want to win a championship. But I think dissimilar in this way. LeBron James is 40 years old. He's going to be 41 years old in December. He knows whether it's one season left, 2 seasons left, his time in the NBA is nearing its end. And obviously, as Rich Paul made clear in his comments to me yesterday, they are prioritizing trying to compete in a quote-unquote realistic way to win a championship. And behind the curtains of all that, what you can see is LeBron James, where he's at in his career. He's got 1, maybe 2 years left in his career. He wants to end his career on his terms to an extent. He wants to finish, and end.
Oh, he froze up. Don't talk about him.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Clutch trucks, boy.
Sorry. Yeah, we lost you there a little bit. You were about to say he wants to.
He wants to end. Clearly, he wants to end his career on his terms, his way, as far as competing for a championship, trying to realistically have a chance to win a championship. And I think in those comments that we saw from Rich Paul, an understanding that the Lakers are moving younger, they're moving toward the future and prioritizing Luka Doncic, really as they should. And from what I gather, LeBron James understands where the Lakers are at in their position. As far as Luka Doncic is the face of this franchise for the next 5 to 10 years, that's who's going to be the face. And so he understands that they're prioritizing that. I don't think he's really asking for them to like change their ways or like bring him back into the fold as the face of the franchise or give him an extension. I think a lot of people can see there what's going on. And so he wants to finish at the highest level in his career, play at the highest level. And whether that's in LA, whether that's going elsewhere, I mean, clearly that depending on how the Lakers free agency period goes, what they're able to do in free agency, obviously they want a center. They're dealing with Dorian Finney-Smith. He opted out of his player option at $15.4 million. If they lose him, what wing do they get to replace him? So what moves do the Lakers make in the offseason where LeBron James looks at it and is like, you know what? My best chance to win a championship is right here. And I think those are hard conversations that they're going to have next week, the week after that, and at some point in July for real.
Okay, those quotes came from Rich Paul, who's obviously agent, entrepreneur, maybe the greatest hustler in the history of the United States of America. I saw some clips of him talking to Matt Ishbia, chit-chatting about what could happen in the draft, him making some calls that ended with Kaman Maluak ending up with the Phoenix Suns. So, I mean, Rich Paul, obviously legend, and whenever he says something, there's obviously a reason behind it, and a meaning, we would assume, especially if you're reporting it at this exact time. And Giannis doing the same thing. I think this is kind of a normal thing in the NBA? Did we expect this from LeBron, this type of? And is Luka not, how's Luka feel about all this stuff?
Luka Doncic was made aware, him and his circle were made aware before this came out. But what I would say is it is unusual to an extent because, I mean, players have options all the time. I mean, you're either going to opt in and you're working toward a trade, or you're set in your situation, or you're opting out and you're a legitimate free agent. In this situation, LeBron James at $52.6 million player option. Of course, he's going to opt into that. When you look at the marketplace, there are only a couple teams with true max salary space, and that's Brooklyn. Charlotte's got some money. Detroit's got some money. But there's not, are those teams really LeBron James teams? Probably not. And so LeBron James had really one choice, and that was to opt in. And from there, evaluate what the best fit is. And listen, we know he's going to play 23 NBA seasons. That much we know. We don't know if he's going to play more than one more season. That's still something I'm sure he, his family, they've all got to decide. But the one thing we do know now is that he's evaluating how he wants to finish his career, where he wants to finish his career. Is it going to be in LA? And again, the Lakers have this upcoming week, the next 2 weeks. There's free agency, there's trades. This is a very busy moment. And Rob Pelinka, the president of basketball operations, he just got Luka Doncic in February. That's a trade, obviously, that's going to go down in the history books. So clearly, he's not immune to wheeling and dealing. This is what he does. But again, these next 2 weeks, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the thought of D-Bud's got a follow-up there.
Yeah.
You talked about the money thing. Would that be if he was to opt out, then he becomes a free agent, then those people would have to pay?
Well, that's the thing. If you opt out of $52.6 million and there's only 3 teams with that type of salary cap space, right? You're probably not going to go to those 3 teams. After that, you're just looking at mid-level exception type deals, and that's around $15 million a year. So, the people that are like, oh, if you wanted to just leave, to opt out and then sign for $15 million, I mean, sacrificing $40 million.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting business move from somebody that's a very business person. D-Buck, go ahead.
Any business savvy person doing that, but who knows?
You mentioned Brooklyn and Detroit there. Are those the only, I guess, realistic options for, even if you could move players? I saw people saying Cleveland, but they would have to do too much being in the second apron. So are those the only 2 realistic landing spots potentially for LeBron?
I mean, we don't know how it's going to play out, but in the event or in a scenario where it does lead to him on, in free agency, I mean, at that point, it could be really anything. It could be a minimum. It could be a exception. I think that becomes secondary, right? Like at that point, if there is a resolution, it's about just figuring out what spot.
Yeah, he already tweeted about wanting to be a Pacer. So
really?
I don't know what we're talking about. He already said, I want to play with Tyrese Halliburton. He said anybody would, and he was obviously a part of anybody.
So Mrs. Miami.
I don't know, because chocolate chip cookies have actually been wait till he tries the chocolate chip cookies out here in Indiana. I mean, if LeBron James is moving, obviously that would be a huge ordeal, and we would all be pumped up that are in sports media for us to talk about sports every single day. We would be very thankful for that type of thing.
But the one thing, though, that makes this interesting is this is really, Pat, like a partnership, right? Like the Lakers, LeBron James, they've been together for 7-8 seasons now. That's great. He won a championship there. He won 2 conference finals there. Before he got there, they weren't a playoff team. He gets there. Obviously, they get Anthony Davis. They become a perennial contender year after year. So that partnership, that relationship, that's why these conversations, that's why you have open, direct dialogue between both sides. Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, Rich Paul from an agent level, from a representative level, LeBron James himself. Just at the draft, like the Lakers just drafted Adu Thoreau, a big man in the second round. They moved up to go draft him. That's a Clutch Sports client. So, like, just because of whatever is going down here or what the statements are that we're seeing, and LeBron James clearly wants to finish his career on his own terms and wants to make the best decision for himself, just like the Lakers are making the best decisions for themselves. Like, those both can be true while the two sides can conduct business together.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see how it all works out. That would be huge. If Giannis moves, is there any update on Giannis?
Well, Giannis is going to continue to
Don't
observe
feel obligated.
this
Don't feel
week,
obligated. If there's no
the next
update,
2
just say
weeks.
there's no update.
There's no update. It's exactly where it's been.
Okay.
the last several weeks.
All right, good. Yeah, that's an okay thing. So Giannis is exactly where it's at. He's going to continue to monitor the moves that are made. And now LeBron is in the monitoring camp as well.
Sure.
And then if that whole thing was to go, the most craziest offseason of all time would certainly take place. Now, you talked about the Lakers, or we just talked about LeBron watching the Lakers. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Shams, you mentioned the Lakers needing a center, and then we just saw, I think it was last night, that Deandre Ayton and the Blazers have, agreed to a buyout, so he's going to become a free agent. Is this someone that the Lakers will be targeting big time? And if not him, I would imagine that the Lakers need to do something pretty soon here, right? If you're thinking that, hey, LeBron might be out of town if we don't start doing something here soon.
Guys, this surprised everyone in the NBA. When Deandre Ayton got bought out, he had about $35 million left on his deal, and so he gets a buyout. This is a former number 1 overall pick. He's saw a stat: 7 straight years of 10 points, 10 rebounds a game. He's one of 4 players to do that for 7 of the last seasons. He's a guy that was a top 3 player on the Suns finals team in 2021. So the guy can play. And from my understanding is his reps, they went to the Blazers, talked about how he wants to be in a winning situation. The fact that the Blazers have 4 or 5 centers on their roster, young players, they're clearly transitioning more toward their young centers. And they just decided, listen, a buyout is probably the best route for both sides, give both sides a fresh opportunity. So now he's in the marketplace. That throws a massive wrinkle into not only the Lakers at center, but other teams at center. So DeAndre Ayton immediately moves to the forefront, but then you have Brook Lopez, you have Clint Capella, Al Horford. So those 4 center free agents, suddenly you're looking at a center crop that's going to be very, very active. This is a pretty big time center class we're seeing right now. So I would expect the Lakers to look into all those players once free agency starts tonight. DeAndre Ayton doesn't clear waivers until Wednesday, so that'll take a little bit more time. But the Lakers will be shoring up meetings, from my understanding, with other available free agent centers tonight and into the next couple days.
Okay, so there's a lot of moves potentially about to take place and about to happen. Big names potentially rolling out of town in a lot of different towns. The apron talk has really become, I think, a driver or a motivator for teams to make more moves, especially to big contracts. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Shams, you called the Celtics kind of having to change their lineup because of the looming contract situation. And it feels like now the Mavericks are kind of entering into that realm, if you will, between Clay and Kyrie and AD and now Cooper Flag, of course, and a couple other guys on that team that are kind of warranting more money. Gafford, they gave $60 million. Could you make the argument that this year is kind of the only year we'll see the Mavericks with this kind of lineup? Do you think they're kind of already looking forward and seeing what they're going to have to inevitably do because of how terribly set up the CBA is with this second apron bullshit? Or do you see how maybe it changes and the Mavericks are able to retain everybody, because it feels like the worst possible thing you can do is have a bunch of good players on your team now?
So, BC, the Mavericks, from my valuation and how I've evaluated their structure right now, they're out of the second apron. They're essentially a tax-paying first apron type team, and there aren't any contracts really that they're bringing in right now or that they're signing. The fact that Kyrie Irving took 3 years, $119, that has now allowed them to use their $5.4 million taxpayer mid-level exception. They're going to look at starting caliber point guards: D'Angelo Russell, Chris Paul, Malcolm Brogdon. Those are conversations that are going to go on tonight to go get those players. So they've actually been able to keep their salary numbers low. Now, again, until Cooper Flag hits in a few years, when he's going to be a potential max contract, then we're having a different conversation. But this year, and really the next 2, they're well positioned to stay out of the second apron, and that means if they want to keep their group together, they can. Now, obviously, they could make changes as well, but they have actually, the way they've lined it up this year and the next 2, they're looking like they're going to be out of that vaunted second apron.
There is a lot of shit to talk about in the NBA, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Listen to second apron. You
There
heard
were a
what
lot of deals. There were a lot of deals yesterday popping off, Pat, and we're not even going yet.
Yeah,
It's up to something season.
Yeah, there was a
We're
lot of
free
player
agency's like
options.
5 hours away, baby.
I mean, this is yesterday. I just saw massive numbers with players decided to, I guess I'll take 45 million.
Yeah.
Player decided to, that sounds good, to 32 million a year. There was a bunch of those yesterday that were kind of popping off. Sunday, that was where the LeBron James opt-in, and then the conversation around that really all began. And then free agency tonight, we should expect a lot more, is what you're saying. It sounds like.
There's going to be some big deals tonight, Pat. There's going to be some big deals tonight, Pat.
That was good. That was. Oh, you're eager
Like
for this
big,
evening. Yeah.
big ones?
Yeah, how big we talking? You talking most craziest big?
Yeah.
You know, is
Better
that-
be.
No, not yet.
Because people were very,
Not yet.
very underwhelmed with the Nas Reed contract. They
were.
thought that was highway robbery. That was not most craziest offseason type material.
I don't know. I saw a Minnesota Timberwolves sign Nas Reed to a 5-year, $125 million contract to stay with the franchise, including a player option. Congratulations, Nas.
Hell yeah, Nas.
Congratulations.
He was kind of the guy.
That's
going into free agency.
that's a big deal. Then Julius Randle gets 3 years, $100 million. So that is actually really big for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You bring back Julius Randle, you bring back Nas Reed. Those are two big free agents. They want to keep that core together around Anthony Edwards. Rudy Gobert's back, obviously.
Wow.
Jaden McDaniels. But the one guy, though, that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to lose, though, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin. He played some great defense all throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
Was a big factor on both ends of the floor. 3-point shooting. But my feel right now is that he will be departing the Timberwolves. He'll go somewhere else on a pretty big contract as well.
Well, good luck to him. I hope everybody gets all the money that they've earned through hard work and what the current CBA is with the NBA, where a lot of people get a lot of money. One guy who's supposed to get a lot of money is no longer in the middle of getting a lot of money, it seems like. AP Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, Shams, all those contracts are good news. You shared some bad news yesterday about Malik Beasley. He's being investigated by the USDA's office for potential gambling, in-game stuff like that. This has happened in the NBA a couple times the last few years, but he is definitely the biggest name, the best player that it's happened with. What do we know as of recently with Malik Beasley?
As of right now, it's an active investigation, and it centers around allegations around the 2023-24 NBA season. So it wasn't this past season, but the 2023-24 season, and it's around gambling on NBA games, prop bets, things of that sort. We don't know how vast and how big this could get. I will say, though, it is important to say, his attorney, Steve Haney, gave me a quote. He said, an investigation is not a charge. Malik is afforded the same right and the presumption of innocence as anyone else under the U.S. Constitution. He has not been charged with anything as of right now. But the facts also are this. The Pistons and Malik Beasley, from my understanding, they were set to reach an agreement on a 3-year, $42 million deal to bring him back to the Pistons. He had an unbelievable year for the Pistons last year. He was an unbelievable leader for the Pistons. He fit so well around Cade Cunningham in that backcourt. He had the second most made threes of any player in the NBA, behind Anthony Edwards. And so that deal was pretty much on track. That deal is no longer, as of right now, it is on complete pause. I mean, his entire really free agent market right now is frozen because of this investigation. And so for this to happen on the eve of free agency to one of the top free agents, one of the best shooters in the NBA, there's a ton of uncertainty around this situation. Again, he has not been charged yet. This is a very active federal investigation.
Okay, so thank you for that information. And hopefully, if he's found innocent, inevitably, or not pressed with any charges, hopefully this deal will still be available for him, or he'll be able to get it somewhere else. Obviously, we will be, we'll have journalistic ethics, and we will cover it if he is found to not be guilty of this, because getting covered of this basically makes everybody's natural opinion to go, well, there's a reason that a DA's office is doing this. That is just people's natural reaction. So if he is innocent and there's no charges pressed against him, I hope all this money and I hope the conversation is brought up that he didn't do anything wrong. Now, if he did, we just saw Jonte Porter, 2 years ago, I believe, because of an investigation, get a lifetime ban on prop betting, I believe. And then Terry Rozier, I believe, had an investigation, but then that thing disappeared. So hopefully he has been cleared. And if that is the case, hopefully we know that and we can tell the world about it. It's happened in football.
Terry Rozier, as of right now, is it has been cleared. I mean, he finished the season with Miami. There's really nothing really active as of right now with him.
That's good.
That's good news.
The NBA spokesman Mike Bass did give a statement to me yesterday. He said that the league is cooperating with the federal prosecutors. So the league essentially, I mean, this is a federal matter now. Like this is in the hands of the courts now.
So would that mean it's a big enough amount of money that it's federal, that it would be some sort of scheming, some conning, why would it be, is this the same as Jonte Porter's as well?
I mean, to my knowledge, it's the same kind of district area in New York. I again don't know how big this one is in comparison to Jonte Porter, but the league has said at this point their measure is to work and cooperate with federal authorities.
Interesting. That's a big deal because, I mean, a lot of people point out the hypocrisy of us because we talk about sports, and sports betting is just a natural part of conversation now in sport. And obviously a lot of people are benefiting from it, us included. We will not say that we are not a company that has certainly benefited greatly from the sports gambling. Shout out to FanDuel, by the way.
Yeah, shout
out to FanDuel. Change all of our lives.
Yeah.
Change everything. And obviously ESPN Bet now is with ESPN. The difference is that whenever you're competing in the sport, if you were to do what we do as retired athletes, which is why our message is always like, hey, when you retire, it's going to be there.
Just wait.
It's going to be there. And it's going to be awesome. And you're going to be able to get better at it, actually, because you're going to be able to actually focus on it, as opposed to have somebody have leverage over you for the rest of your life with what's happening now. So it's like, I understand there could be some hypocrisy. See, also, the games have to keep their integrity. That Tim Donaghy stuff still makes people think that the game is a work. I mean, that is like the biggest part of all these leagues is people have to think that this isn't a work. People have to believe that their team can win and that they can just out-effort and out-execute. So that's why, as former players, I think it's a bad idea to have gambling, and I think it should be stern punishments. Like a lot of people try to say, well, compared to this, you're getting this, like lifetime ban. Every league, everybody in the league, every person, every family, it ruins everything. So I hope that what they're saying or alleging, and I saw some videos.
Oh, yeah.
I saw some videos on X.
Few.
Are not true about Malik Beasley. And I hope this doesn't become a big thing because we'll lose our leagues.
Yeah,
Can't have that.
Can't lose our leagues. You know what I mean?
This Pat, though, this does have from a perspective of basketball and free agent. Like I'm an NBA insider. My job is to break news. This Malik Beasley situation had a direct impact on free agency. He was one of the best players in free agency. He has an impact on the Pistons. He has an impact on at least 4 or 5 other free agents. Like this, the domino effect that has come from this is a lot bigger than just a normal person realizes. Like it impacted who Detroit's now going to go after in free agency, what other teams are like. It has a trickle down effect. So that's why the timing of this was probably why it was what it was. But I mean, in the case of what could have been for Malik Beasley versus what it is, it's not the most ideal.
Dawn Staley, the next head coach of the New York Knicks, is that true?
That is not something that has come at my desk. The Knicks, to my knowledge,
What are the
still.
Don goes, I go.
Again, it's not something that has hit my desk as of yet. But listen, the Knicks are going through their process.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're talking to several candidates. James Borrego, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, Micah Nori. Those are the known interviews so far that I have.
I will say this. I watched Coach Jenny for the Pacers kick ass through this entire playoff series. She is awesome. I also learned about her story. I think she's a single mom as well. Her daughter has kind of grown up around the teams that she has coached. She's great for the Pacers. And Dawn Staley, obviously, basketball G. Everybody likes Dawn Staley. Good luck. That'd be a huge play. That'd be that'd be the most craziest offseason ever.
Yes.
And we'd be obviously very celebratory in all of it. All right, Shams, we appreciate the hell out of you for joining us, man. Good luck figuring out federal investigations. Good luck. Because
4 hours.
Well, okay. Yeah, 4 more hours for free agency, but you're also going to be in the middle of some federal investigation stuff with Malik Beasley. Good luck with those things coming across your desk. You know, we're going to need you kind of figuring all this shit out.
I'm bobbing and weaving. I'm doing it all, baby.
Do you remember when he was down at City Hall in New York when the Kyrie Irving stuff was going on?
Yep.
My sources told me at City Hall is what he said.
Yeah.
With a straight face.
Yep.
It was unbelievable. You're the man, ladies and gentlemen, Sham Charania.
Yeah. Hey.
That's
wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA on the ESPN.